Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this Zoom meeting. It's really a privilege to have you. Many will be joining us because we had a lot of people who signed up. Thank you for coming, and yeah, we hope you enjoy the conversation. My name is Innocent Magambi, the CEO of Inua Consulting. I have been a refugee for many years, and now all that I do is to advocate for refugees. I'm with my colleague, Florisa De Leo. She's working in the background. And I have my also colleague, Gerard, who will be helping in technical aspect. Very soon, I'll be introducing the guest. For now, let me ask Gerard to play a short video, and then I'll introduce our guests, and then we will kick off our conversation. Gerard.
One in every 95 people on Earth has fled their home as a result of conflict or persecution. Their stories and needs are different, but all of them are on a journey of recovery. When a humanitarian disaster occurs, it's vitally important to institute an emergency response that would mitigate the loss of security, shelter, access to food and water, and medical care. Emergency aid helps stabilize the lives of displaced people as a matter of survival. The subsequent phase is where the recovery starts, re-establishing community, healing trauma, developing strategies for contributing to society, and for building a future. Living prolonged periods on emergency aid without access to recovery can be a dehumanizing experience. This can have a profoundly negative effect not only on the individual, but on the younger generations, whose adult role models have been stripped of the possibility to make choices and to determine their circumstance. In Zarika refugee camp, Malawi, 86% of the population is under the age of 35. They have their whole future ahead of them. A lifelong dependence on handouts isn't what Zarika residents need, but rather a hand up to develop a meaningful new normal. Education, vocational training, business loans and mentorship, and greater freedom of movement and employment. And, for those who have no home to return to, the opportunity to integrate into their host community.
Thank you, Gerard, for playing the video. I mean, that's just the summary of the conversation that you're going to have. The topic is what refugees need. The topic of aid is normally discussed among donors and doers, and refugees are forgotten because they are on the receiving end. But today, we wanted to flip the conversation and ask them their experiences on aid and what they'll be willing to advise those who provide aid or those who really want to do good, but they don't know how to do it best. With me, I have Ajak Mayan Jok. I think he's yet to join our Zoom. He's a South Sudanese from Kenya, Kakuma. He has been a refugee for the past 20 years. And now he's a program coordinator at Amala, an organization which provides competency-based education to secondary school students in Kakuma refugee camp. And we have Julia Nduta Ojuol. Is a Kenyan asylum seeker in South Africa. She has been living in South Africa for the past 13 years. And she is the chief of staff at Global Education Movement of Southern New Hampshire University. Welcome, Julia. And we have Raphael Ndabaga, a refugee from Congo, based in Zarika. He has been in Zarika for the past 9-10 years. He's an active member of the society. He's in almost every activity that concern the youth. He's an advocate. He's everything. He's a filmmaker. I know him as someone who really gets involved in the society and wants the society to be cared for. He's joining us from Zarika, and he's also a CEO of a volunteer work association in Zarika. Now, let me start with Julia. People may wonder why a Kenyan national on a topic to do with refugees as an asylum seeker. Can you tell us? Because when you talk about countries that produce refugees, Kenya is forgotten. Tell us a little bit about how did you find yourself seeking asylum in South Africa?
Thank you so much, Innocent, for this opportunity and for everybody else who's joining us. That's a really important question. So just a little bit about myself and why I'm here today. So I'm originally from Kenya, from a place called Nakuru, and a second-born daughter in a family of 5 girls and 1 brother who sadly passed away in 2010. So life growing up was normal with everyday hustles, and I had so many dreams like any other person would have. So to have a better life and to support my parents, because I could see the sacrifices they had made for us to go to school and for even survival. So my journey of being displaced, a displaced person, started in 2008 when I came to Cape Town, South Africa to actually reunite with my husband, who had fled Kenya in 2007. So many of you would remember during the 2007-2008 elections was one of the most difficult times for many Kenyans. And I think around over 1,200 people were killed in the election violence, and as many as 350,000 people were displaced. So arriving in Cape Town with my son was a sacrifice that I had made. I actually left the only place that I knew I called home due to instability, and hoped that the new home would be welcoming and allow me to redream again. So a little bit fast forward, everything was a struggle, from sorting out of the documentation, getting my son into school, finding a place to stay, finding a job. And mind you, in the 2008 when I arrived, that's when the xenophobic violence actually erupted. So I knew that I had traded my freedom for a journey that was unknown, like many other refugees do. I'd given up on myself and accepted that my dreams were just shattered, and it's okay to have dreams and not accomplish them. And this was after knocking several doors for me to be able to access higher education and be able to see if I can change my life around. So I actually made a choice to focus on my son getting education and surviving, compared to me continuing to knock on many doors that were closed. Little did I know that things would change. So I had visited one of the organizations in Cape Town called Scalabrini Center of Cape Town that really supports refugees and migrants so that they can help me with getting my son in school. So getting children access to education for some of the refugees is really difficult. So I needed support to make sure that my son gets into school. I then had about a degree program that was supporting refugees, and I knew that this was my only chance to change my life. I quickly went to inquire more, and I was enrolled for this program with the Global Education Movement. And since then, my life has never been the same. I found my voice. I regained my confidence. I learned so many skills. I found a community that believed in me, but most importantly, I got my dignity back as a mother, as a wife, as a sister, as a friend, as an asylum seeker, and also a female leader. I currently work for the same organization that changed my life around, and super excited to serve the same community that speaks the same language that I speak. I'm gonna end there, and maybe I'll continue at a later stage. Thank you so much.
Wow, wow. Now, I mean, it's, first of all, I want to say sorry for the loss of your brother in 2010. Yeah, nothing can replace that. So may God continue to heal you guys. And two, I mean, it's incredible. The organization where you went to inquire for support and now you work there. Tell us a little bit about your degree. I hear that you did your degree studies in 6 months. Where in the world? What was pushing you to do that?
Thank you so much, Innocent. So remember, I spoke about me knocking on many doors, and all my dreams were shattered. I was like, you know what, I'm going to make peace with this. So when somebody opened that door, and that was the global education movement, I knew that there was no excuse for me. I knew as a mother, looking at my son, I knew that I had to change things around to be able to accommodate him and to be able to give him a better life. So when I entered the program, I was working full-time. I was a mother. I had other responsibilities, but I knew that nothing was going to shatter my dreams again. So I was working at night. I was actually just, so I could go to work in the morning. When I get home around 5 o'clock, I have to cook for the family and make sure that they're well looked after. I do homework with my son. And then around 10 o'clock, 9:30 to 10 p.m., I would sit down and say, this is me time. And me time was actually to look at my degree program. So I did my associate. I was supposed to finish that in 18 months, but to my surprise, I also surprised myself. I did that in 7 months. And I think because it was really how I drove myself, I knew that not many organizations give refugees an opportunity to study. And I knew that if I push myself and get this associate and degree, I might be able to change my life around. So I didn't know what the result was going to be, but I knew that I was going to give it my best, and then the result would be there. Immediately after that, I enrolled myself into the degree program. And so I did a degree in management, logistics and operations. And yeah, so I had 4 years to finish everything. To my surprise, again, in less than a year, I was also able to finish my degree program. Wow. I must say that as much as I'm saying it took me less than a year, there was a lot of tears. There was a lot of sacrifices. There was a lot of unknown, not even knowing I'm doing this. Where am I going to end? What am I going to do with myself? But when I finished, I can look at myself today and say, you know what, it was all worth it. All the tears, all the hard work, everything that I put into the program has yielded so much output. And I can always encourage other refugees that are out there thinking that there is no future, there is no life. As much as there's a lot of struggles for us, you can always find that room or that gap that you can enter. And once you enter, that can be a light for you. And it just depends on how you take it and how far you take that. So for me today, I feel like an empowered woman. I'm so confident. I'm so happy that the global education movement gave me this opportunity and is giving other refugees the same opportunity in different countries so that they can also redream again and find a home for themselves. For me, I call this home because that's where I feel happy. That's where I continue voicing myself. This is just the happiness I have. There's nothing more that I can expect.
Wow, incredible. You were given an opportunity and you went in full on, and you went in fully, because in my definition of when something comes so easily, like when you are given a gift, a free gift, the most difficult part is to know how to treasure it. Some people, they just take it for granted. It came, I didn't suffer for it, therefore, but you did not do that. So well done for being such an inspirational person that shines light, and even say thank you to those who fight in the background to bring those opportunities to people like us. So thank you so much. Now I want to ask you, can you tell us a little bit about your current work? What do you do, and what does your organization do?
Thank you so much, Innocent, once again. So for me to give you a little bit of perspective in terms of the organization that I'm working for. So I work for the Global Education Movement, and which is a major initiative of the Southern New Hampshire University. And it offers degrees to refugees around the globe. So this particular initiative was created in 2017, and it's the first large-scale online learning initiative for refugees. So GEM works with in-country organizations to deliver high-quality, low-cost education that is actually tailored to meet the needs of displaced learners. So currently we serve over 1,000 students in 10 different sites, and we're based in 5 countries. So that's Rwanda, Kenya, Malawi, South Africa, and Lebanon. A little bit about the model and how it works. So GEM's model is competency-based education, which allows for a completely new learning experience of earning your degree and your associate and your degree. It gives refugee students the opportunity to access the learning platform at their own work, at their own time, when they have access to internet. So learners are engaged in different projects and they earn mastery after successfully completing these particular projects. This is really important because it provides and it gives refugees a roadmap to recovery and dignity. I speak about dignity because it's really not just about the scholarship that you get for your education. It gives you your dignity back after having left your country, having left your home, and now you're in a new space trying to navigate, where am I going? What do I need to do? So GEM's role is to reach and to empower refugees to grow in their own strengths and skills and to transform their lives for a better life for themselves and also for their families. I think the last bit that I want to mention is that this particular program considers lived experiences and realities, and it acknowledges how life can be challenging and difficult. And that is why I spoke about me being a mother, being a full-time working person, but I also knew that this is the one piece that was missing. So I had to find time to do that. So as much as you're given the program and you self-pace yourself, you're also given a certain time when you have to complete that. So it's also your responsibility. As much as the organization is putting in the scholarship for you, you also need, as a refugee, you also need to put in time to make sure that you're able to give your deliverables or you're able to perform in the best way possible. I think this program really enables students who often face so many limitations and uncertain futures to complete their studies at a self-paced direction. And through GEM, many refugee students, they're able to strengthen their skills, and they are well prepared for the global job market because this particular degree from the Southern New Hampshire University is fully accredited and it is internationally recognized. So that's a little bit about GEM. And for me, the position that I have now is Chief of Staff. But the beauty of this particular position is that as a student that I've been through the journey and I understand the struggles, I understand what the voice of the students is saying, it really allows me to bring that voice onto the same table with people that think about the program and are thinking about giving the refugees their dignity and rebuilding their lives. So that's a little bit about me and my role.
Thank you. I mean, GEM office must be very, very clever because they can't have such a brilliant student that they invested in and let her be taken by other people. So they snatched you before someone else takes you. And I mean, it's really incredible because you have walked the path and now you are supporting other people and just showing them how it's done. So thank you so much. I was supposed to go to Mayan, but I see that he hasn't joined yet. I hope he will. So let me go to Raphael. Raphael, you have been a refugee in Zarika for the past, is it 9 or 13 years?
9 years.
9 years. Now, we have seen that refugee camps and orphanages are places where people who want to do good think of most of the time to go to, to show their generosity, which is good. Tell us about your experience in Zarika refugee camp. So I just want your experience based on individual people who want to come and show good to refugees rather than the institutions that we know, like There Is Hope, Plan, UNHCR. What has been your experience in Zarika? What have you observed?
Thank you very much, Mr. Innocent. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this webinar, especially to be among the panelists. Before responding to this question, I would like to remind everyone taking part in this Zoom that a refugee camp is a place that accommodates people from different backgrounds. And then this life of a refugee does not really determine who this person is going to be in the future. So each and everything that can be brought to a refugee has to be something significant. Well, let me go straight to the question. As a Zarika resident and one of the community activists, I have seen kind-hearted individuals coming to Zarika, giving several items to refugees, which is very good. These donations are something to encourage because refugees are struggling to make a living. But some of these people are just coming to give their donation that I'm not considering to be significant just because of the way they do things. I would start from this example. Okay, I'm not going to talk about whatever I've seen because of time constraint, but I'm gonna use two most recent examples that I have in hand. There's this Malawian musician who is most famous, I might say, in the whole sub-Saharan region, called Patient Namadingo. Patient Namadingo came in Zarika. I remember it was in 2021 in April. And then the guy claimed that he wants to give a donation to children of Zarika refugee camp. And then I was also surprised to go and see what the kind of donation that the guy is going to make to refugees. And then surprisingly, Patience Namadingo was distributing plastic shoes to children. And then I was asking myself, what's the real mission of this guy distributing plastic shoes to these young people? At first, when I'm trying to see some of the schools here in Zarika, they don't really accept children who come with plastic shoes at school. They send them back home and say, no, you have to bring covered shoes, not plastic shoes. And then I wanted to understand really what was the idea behind the guy distributing plastic shoes to children. The donation is good, but I think the guy would have done better than this. And then leaving Namadingo, let's consider the most recent, because this happened in December last year. This is when Prophet Bushiri and his wife, Mary Prophetess Bushiri, claimed that they want to spend the festive season with the most marginalized people. And then among the areas that they selected to visit, they also came to Zarika. So Mary Bushiri came to Zarika, and then she claimed that she wants to celebrate with refugees the festive season. And then I said, okay, this is another opportunity for me to go and witness what this church leader can do to fellow refugees. And then it was another surprise that people are distributed porridge. This porridge that we normally call in Zarika pala. The porridge is made of maize and soybeans. And then the quantity was 2 kgs per the whole family, not per individual, but for the whole family, 2 kgs of porridge. Then a question came to mind. How can someone celebrate Christmas by eating porridge? That was my question. The donation was good, but the way it was formulated, the way it was conceived, that we want to celebrate the festive season with refugees, but giving to people 2 kgs of porridge as a way of celebrating with them, to me, it did not click well. To me, I said no. It's a donation, yes, but maybe Mary Bushiri would have done more than this. So I might maybe stop from here because I have so many examples, and because of time, let me stop from here. So in short, it's only that we receive individuals who are coming to donate to refugees, but they can only bring what they think is good for refugees instead of bringing what refugee needs. Thank you.
I mean, thank you, Rafael, for bringing those examples up. But I want to challenge you. Like, is it wrong for me to really show kindness to refugees by bringing what I'm able to afford and share with the kids and share with the family. Is that wrong? Like,
it's not. Let me say it's not wrong. But I'm also challenging you with my answer. You challenge me with your question. It's not wrong depending on the situation. It might be wrong depending on the people that you want to serve. Remember, refugees need durable solutions. Refugees need something that can last. If you might bring something, okay, you claim that you want to help refugees. You give something that can only help them for a few hours, for example. Is that really what refugee needs? The answer is no. Refugee needs something which can last, something that can give hope, something that they can use and understand that no, somewhere there out, people are thinking of us, they know where we live and the kind of life we're going through, and they want to relieve us from this situation. And not just bring something that in few hours, people will still go back in the very initial situation that they were going through. So my answer will just be, it's good to do that donation, but in your mind, what's your target? What do you want to achieve by giving these people this? Is it for few hours? Is it something that will last, something that they will keep on remembering, or something that can still contribute to their future? That might be another question that I will leave to you as a perspective to any other person who might try to come and bring a donation to refugees. We really need donations, but give me something that can last, something that I can even use for something that I can use for my life of tomorrow, not just today. Today is not enough, but tomorrow and after tomorrow is enough to me. Thank you, Mr. Innocent.
Clarissa, you have a question?
It's more like a comment from the point of view of the givers or potential givers. We often assume that a community in need is made of only one type of people. That's someone who is completely desperate and will just receive whatever we give. And we forget that there are people in the community who can actually advise us, who can inform us, who can teach us, who can support us in our desire to give. And so perhaps even through webinars like this, it's important that we draw out the fact that a place like the refugee camp hosts a great variety of people, some of whom have a great degree of critical thinking, analysis, leadership, and they can become a source of, I would say, guidance for the people that do want to help, providing insight into the best way to help. And therefore, before helping, there's need for a previous step, which is learning and engaging and seeking out a mediator in the communities that we want to reach as potential supporters.
Thank you, Clarissa, for that. So, Rafa, do you think what Clarissa just said? Yeah, I think I'm muted. Do you think what Clarissa just said resonates? Do you think people, before they come to the refugee camp, they need to do an assessment and maybe learn what is needed? Is that what you were trying to say?
Yes, Mr. Innocent, Clarissa is very, very right. To me, this shows human dignity. I will quote from Mahatma Gandhi, who said that, "Whatever you do for me without me, then you do it against me." This is Mahatma Gandhi. And it's totally correct. Because for you to understand what I need, then you have to talk to me. But if you put yourself in my shoes, yes, because I'm poor, because people can use every negative word describing a refugee, yes, I might accept it. So this does not mean that you also have to sit down and think what to do without consulting me. The act of not consulting me straight means that you don't consider me, because if you consider me, you can hear my voice, because my voice counts. It's when you hear something from me that you can understand that I am in need of this. But failing to hear from me, which means you can just do whatever you think is useful, yet we need what is needful. I'm going to differentiate these two words. Many people are giving to refugees what they think is useful to them, but they forget that refugees want what is needful to them. So these are some of the things that I want to differentiate. Oh, I'm sorry, I think I made the opposite of it. Refugees need what is useful and not needful. So people bring their donations because they know that refugees are in need. We are in need, yes, we are in need. So they just bring donations because we are in need, forgetting that we actually need, but what is useful? They think that we can use, and we believe that, okay, this is what we feel like, this is what we need. So Florissa is totally right. Assessment, surveys, but it can't even take longer. We have energetic people who can walk around the camp from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. to do those surveys in order for them to fully understand what refugee needs. Some other times, yes, it's not possible to meet each and every refugee. So we have community leaders, we have church leaders, we have NGOs, CBOs. These people can be selected, a representative of these people, and sit together with those well-wishers, institutions, and these kind-hearted individuals who want to help. And then from these people, we can raise our voices. Maybe I might not take part, but when I know that my community leader is there, before going there, we have our platforms where we used to meet. They organize meetings, we talk. Okay, there is a plan of doing A, B, C, D. What can I talk on your behalf? This is how things can move. And when we send our concerns to our leaders, leaders will be able to meet people who want to come into action, and then that will make a very peaceful action, instead of just keep on bringing something that is, okay, that the well-wishers think it's good, yet at this side, okay, the donation, we accept it because we need it, but it's not something which is very much significant that you can give to a refugee. I think Madame Florissa was very, very right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Raphael. So back to you, Julia. You talked about, going in full force into education so that you can regain your dignity, so that you can come back. Like when you were intervening, when you were talking, like you used the word dignity quite many times. It's very, very important. And with what Raphael said, where people are making the decisions of what you need without consulting you, without asking you, without looking at long-term, how do you deal with the concept of dignity? Like, tell us about your experience. I mean, I share mine. Like, there were several times that I felt like I was a beggar, and all these organizations, they went, to seek support for me, and and I'll be just given what they decide. What has been your journey in terms of dignity, fighting for your dignity as a human being?
Wow. I must tell you, when the word dignity is mentioned, I think particularly for me as a woman, it really triggers quite a lot of thoughts in terms of what is it. For me, I always say that if you want to support somebody else, wear that person's shoes and just ask yourself, so if you're giving me a loaf of bread, and the loaf of bread is expected to last for a whole month, would that apply to you? Would the same concept apply to you? And if your answer is yes, then it means that you're doing the good, you're giving that person their dignity. If your answer is no, then it means that whatever you're doing might not be right. simply because giving somebody, a human being, their dignity can be from just a little gesture that you do. But it means that don't repeat the same gesture today, tomorrow, 20 years to come. We're speaking about refugees being in these camps for 20 years. These are parents that have, they have children. These children are also becoming refugees. It means that the circle continues. So the parents are living in the camp, the children are living in the camp, the grandparents are, so these are 3 generations in the same camp. So if we're speaking about the camp being a short-term durable solution for these refugees, are we thinking about the future? Does it mean that the durable solutions such as resettlement, repatriation, and integration into these communities is not working? Do we need to start thinking about reimagining some of these durable solutions, such as access to education? Would that serve a different purpose? So I think it's really just voicing ourselves out there and saying, you know what, we agree that we are refugees. We agree that you can support us in any way. But the most important thing is that if you are supporting this particular community, involve them. Let them represent themselves with their own voices. Let them speak about what it means for their child to go to bed without food. Let them speak about what it means that if you've given me this degree, now I'm able to work. Now I have financial freedom. I can support my family. I can support the community. I can be able to contribute to the economy of this particular country where I am based right now. So there's quite a lot of impacts that you can do, not just for yourself. It's for the community. It's for the people. So if you give me my dignity, the same applies to anybody else. I would want to give that dignity back to somebody else. So if you give it to me and you give it to me in a way that is dehumanizing, where here is a loaf of bread that expires tomorrow, it's because I don't have anywhere else to take it and eat it. For me, that's dehumanizing me. Yes, I'm desperate. I'm going to take that bread simply because I don't even have the means for me to buy that bread. But where does that leave me? It shatters me down. It makes me think about who do they think I am? Am I that desperate to just be eating? I think Raphael spoke about porridge that was expired. What does that mean to you as a person? The person that is bringing that donation, what does it make you feel? If it makes you feel good and better, then it means you're doing the right thing. But if you give that thing and you're thinking, this is just because these ones are desperate, this is just because they don't have any means, it just means that you're doing the wrong thing. So when you're thinking of programs, put the people that you want to serve at the center of what you're doing. Allow them to tell you that we don't need food, we need education. We don't need a water pipe in our community. We need you to give us exercise books. Allow them to give you do an assessment with them. Don't do an assessment just for your own good. I know a lot of the organizations come in with the intention that is good, but the result is that they end up taking all the dignity away. They end up making you feel worse than where you started. So if we are thinking of these projects or thinking about these programs, we have to include the people that are there. And I think a lot of research has been done on refugees and migrants, and particularly the ones that are in the camp. So we come in, we do our research, we go out and we are academically happy, we are happy with the results, and the results is just for ourselves. Where does that leave the people in those camps? Where are their voices? How do we take back what we have researched to them so that we can use that to make their lives better? So there's quite a lot of pieces that you've got to put together to give this person their dignity back, but not just for the organization. Also as refugees ourselves, we have the responsibility to give ourselves the dignity where we can be in a space where you're saying, you know what, I'm not going to agree to take this rotten bread, or I'm not going to agree for somebody to just dehumanize me. And I think spaces like this are spaces that allow us to say that we appreciate the donations as short-term solutions. But if you're giving me bread from today, in 365 days, you're still giving me bread, then it means that there is a gap, and we need to start thinking about how do we turn this bread into something else so that I'm able tomorrow, you're not giving me bread, but I'm also giving the community bred myself. So I think if you think of that concept where give me, I think there's a concept that they say you don't give the people the fish, you teach them how to fish. So if you teach me how to fish, tomorrow I'm going to be in the camp and I'll be able to educate the community and tell the community exactly what it means to not have and what it means to be given your dignity back. So I guess before I start talking too much and giving too many examples, it just means that as a human being, the same way you want somebody to give you your dignity is the same way you want to give that back to anybody else, whether it's a refugee, whether it's a child, whether it's a woman, whether it's anybody else. Put yourself in that person's shoe and see if that's the same concept that you would use.
Yeah, actually, what you just said, Julia, reminds me of the fact that there is such a thing as survey fatigue. And we have been told this in Zarika refugee camp by residents who very often are asked to participate in surveys. And they're very frequently asked how many times a week do they eat meat? How many times a week do they eat eggs? And I think we can safely say that in a refugee camp like Zarika, someone who wants to help, they don't need to do a survey. There's enough knowledge base and information with the people that Rafael mentioned, the community leaders or leaders of community-based organizations. One of our participants today, Caroline, says that she has worked for UNHCR in Zarika. And definitely there have been a lot of surveys, but sometimes the action that follows is lacking. So information is gathered and then perhaps very little follow-up. And so we also, I think, and please give me your opinions, it's pretend dignity giving to ask someone to participate in a survey and then not acting on what they say. We need to be careful. You know, these are not case studies, these are individuals. So there's a lot to be learned. And at the same time, I don't want to discourage people that are on my, side of the fence, those who do want to help and to become involved. Just because it's a bit of a minefield and you could make lots of mistakes doesn't mean that you should feel discouraged and not do it. But humility, patience, and really being willing to listen and to check yourself are probably a good starting point.
Basically, it's not only what you do to refugees, it's also how you treat them. I heard of one coordinator in Zarika who is hired by one of the implementing partners. She's a coordinator, she's, it's a good title, she interacts with other refugees and, informs the organization about their activities and implements. But she said, when organizations are planning for activities, refugees are not involved. We're just told what to do and how to do it. But then when there is, when something, has hit the wall, then they come back and say, hey guys, what do you think we can do? How can we intervene? Like that, they are invited now to a meeting that will be aiming at correcting the mistakes that were done during the planning. So it's really important that, what you do, how you treat, but also how you follow up with assessment or the information that you have gathered. Rafael, you have something to add on that?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Innocent. Your statement woke me up, and then I just feel like I have to speak. I really have to speak because it's very, very important. What I've observed in Zarika refugee camp, because this is the only camp that I managed to live in, and then whatever I share, based. My life of a refugee started in this camp. And then the only thing that I see is that we are not considered as normal persons. I repeat my word, we are not. Because whatever is happening, they are just informing. If there is any decision that was taken, then keep knowing that the decision has already been taken, and then we don't have any power to change it. So what the institutions are doing, they just inform us. This is what will happen. Let me just give you this straightforward example. As I'm speaking now, people are busy withdrawing their cash from ATMs. People are getting their cash for food ration. And then when people received soaps, they received soaps for 2 months. And the communication was people are going to receive their need or something for 2 months. But surprisingly, people have, okay, the money that's getting to their account is for only 1 month. This is the end of January. And people have already planned for 2 months. The budget is now for 2 months. Some of the people, let me allow myself to say that they've already borrowed money because they believe that since the distribution of soap starts, which means the money will be in. Now a lot of people are experiencing trouble. As someone was expecting to receive money for 2 months, now it's 1 month. And then, okay, there's an audio which circulates of one of the leaders of this community who said they are trying to advocate and to push if refugees can receive money for 2 months. And then they were told that before 2 weeks, you will not receive that money. This simply means that, okay, they've already planned it and we don't have any power to change it. But I think if we are getting the same human dignity as any other person, I think the good idea was to invite us and let us know what is happening. Now refugees don't know what is happening. And this is when people start bringing rumors. This is how people start misinforming others. Others are now saying that this will be the last distribution. In their accounts, there was only a remaining amount of giving people money for 1 month. And after this 1 month, people will not receive anything else. It's easy for people to say so because we have a channel of communication. We have our leaders and so on. But whenever there's something that is very sensitive that refugees really have to be aware of, we don't have that chance to be aware of. Yes, we are receiving money, which means money belongs to us, but we don't even know when are we receiving the money. And then suddenly it is said that no, you're going to get for 1 month, and the other 1 month for February, you will get it after 2 weeks. I'm trying to imagine, are we considered as people? If we are considered as people, let this channel of communication becomes effective. Let people know what is happening. Let people not get involved in trouble. We already have a lot of trauma. People are having more than 15 years, 20 years. Some of the children are not going to school. We have a lot of problems. But adding another problem of someone going to borrow money simply because this person believes that my money will be in, and at the end of the day, there's no money that the person was expecting. This is adding a trauma to another existing trauma. This is when we witness that some people have just hung up themselves and they die. We don't really know the reason is what, but this can also contribute. A lot of expectations, but few actions. That's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you. So I want us to kind of summarize what we have discussed, because, you know, there are so many people who are just individuals who want to do good. You know, they hear the situation of refugees, like in Zarika, when they hear the story that, you know, each individual is supposed to live on 15 cents, US dollar cents a day, you know, that's enough money to buy, you know, 1 chapati and 1 sweet, or 1 egg, you know, to give a good picture. So some people want to do good, but have enough money to really mitigate the problems that refugees have. So I want us to kind of, you know, discuss and, you know, narrow down what can people do. I saw a comment from Charlotte that she's, you know, a young donor and she's learning quite a lot. So I want us to encourage her. So I know that, you know, Julia, you talked about durable solutions, you know, which is repatriation which is integration in the host community, but also resettlement into a third country. Now, let's say I'm an individual. I don't have power to help refugees in that way. What can people do? What can individuals do to support refugees while they are waiting for the durable solution to come? How best can they help? Julia, I know you are involved in education, and with you, education has really helped you to feel like, yes, I'm human again, and now I have rediscovered myself and my talent. So yeah, just tell us, what can people do?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Innocent. Very insightful. I think for me, really, if you're out there and you're thinking of, I really want to support, I don't know what to do. It's important to note that refugees are so eager and ready to do anything that would transform their lives and that of their children, and allow them to rebuild their lives again. Remember, these are people that have left their homes and now they're trying to find new homes. But these people cannot do it on their own. So we need each other. They need to be supported by individuals, organizations, and also the government itself, where they have favorable policies that can allow them the freedom to get employed, the freedom to start businesses, the freedom to explore what they can do best. So, and when organizations are thinking of how to support this particular group of people, they should consider what are good practices and what are bad practices. So programs that are designed for refugees should do a needs assessment and understand how the program will impact the lives of these refugees. And then advocate for those rights, such as access to education, integration, how do they integrate themselves into the communities, documentations, health. We can mention a lot. You have to put the refugee at the center of the program design and not the organization itself. And I think I spoke about how the global education allows the challenges that the refugees go through daily, and they give you a program that is self-paced, bearing in mind that it might be difficult. We know that it will be difficult. We know that some of the times you will struggle, but we want to make sure that we put you at the center of this particular program, so that at the end you're able to redream again. You're able to use the skills that you have learned to start a business and employ other people. You're able to get employed and earn a living. So I think, don't get me wrong, handouts are appreciated, but I think it cannot continue as a long-term solution. Let's think of long-term solutions if you want to support these particular people. Children that need access to education, children that need scholarships, children that need to have parents that can provide for them. If your child is coming home and you need to give them books, or you need to provide for them, you're able to do that because you have been given a hand up. So giving hand ups such as access to higher education, vocational training, giving entrepreneurship opportunities, just to mention but a few, are some of the ways that you can think about supporting this group. If you're somebody who's running a business or an organization, think about allowing people that have had access to higher education to come into your organization and work for you, whether it's through internships. Open your doors for them, because if we give them this access to education and you don't open your doors for them, then it just means that we continue in the same circle. So these people are some of the people that are well educated and they're looking for employment opportunities. Open your doors where they can do their internships and showcase what they have learned. I think really the best way to support refugees in camps is to empower them and to provide them with opportunities that they can utilize their potential. But this must be done with dignity. This must be done with bearing in mind that these are broken people. Some of these people are trying to rebuild themselves from very traumatic experiences. And the more we give them handouts, handouts, the more we are dehumanizing them, the more we are not giving them the opportunity to utilize the potential that you have. So if you look at the access to higher education that GEM is providing, it's not just about the scholarship to refugees, and I'm speaking about my own journey. It's about giving the dignity, stamping the possibilities that we have, and breaking the limitations of how much skills that you can learn and how you can take that to the next level so that you can impact the community that you are in. So if you're thinking of supporting this particular community, it is good for us to acknowledge the handouts are good for short term. But if it's the same person that you're giving handouts in a longer term, then it means that you've got to rethink of the way you want to support this particular community. Thank you so much, Innocent.
Wow, Julia, I like the wisdom. I like the anger that comes with everything that you are saying. Like, yeah, it's really enlightening. And, you know, if I may summarize what you said, handouts are appreciated, but for a short time. Whatever you do it thinking what will support these people in a long time. And it's not just about what you give, because, you know, some of the people that Rafael mentioned, you know, they came to the refugee camp with banners from banks, you know, and there were a lot of coverage, social media, TVs and stuff, you know, when people are giving, you know, shoes or whatever. So put refugees as, you know, the main target of, you know, changing their lives for the better, but also empower their parents to provide for their children. Otherwise, if I have someone who always comes and supports my children, I will lose my dignity before my children. And you also talked about advocacy. So you may not provide education, but at least you can be an ally of refugees and, you know, raise a voice. Rafael, what do you have anything else to contribute or to add or to comment to what Julia said in 1 minute, and then we take 1 or 2 questions because we're running out of time. Thank you.
Actually, okay, I just have to say something. What Julia said is totally correct, because considering the current situation that we have in Zarika refugee camp, people are too much reliant at this food distribution that we receive. And then I'm trying to figure out what might happen if now the food is cut off, the distribution is cut off. And then, for example, what happened in 2 to 3 years back, when there was this system of full ration to half ration. I remember this happened. This happened when people are receiving 12 kgs of maize, which was cut to 6 kgs of maize for people to use for a period of 1 month. So let's assume that now they say that donors did not donate anything and refugees will never receive anything from WFP. What will be the living environments in refugee camps? Let me try to look at the Zarika community, how people are becoming so much reliant to this food distribution, to this little money that we receive. So what if this money is now ending and there's no way of people receiving something? What will happen? These are some of the things that we can start thinking now when we're still receiving the little thing, reminding people, awaken people that no, as things are reducing little by little, it was full ration, now it's half ration. Who knows that tomorrow it will be off totally? How are we going to live? This will raise crime rate, this will raise a mortality rate, and the Zarika will be transformed to a disaster, because I'm trying to see the life standard of people. How will it look like? So since we have this time, we're still speaking and people are still receiving that little thing that they receive. We can still try to brainstorm about possible programs that we can build to transform people to become self-reliant. If you give me the skills, I'm gonna take it wherever I may go. Now I'm a student under GEM, SNHU and GEM. Whatever I'm acquiring now belongs to me. I'm feeding my family because of the skills that I have. I'm one of those people who don't cry because of little things. Cry because of 1,000, 10,000. No, I'm not. I'm not crying for that, because GEM has empowered me. GEM gave me what is feeding me together with my family. I might leave Zarika now to go outside of the camp. I'm sure that I can make a living because an institution somewhere, they empowered something in me that makes me self-reliant. Even if they cut off the distribution, I will still make a living. So that is me out of thousands. We are more than 55,000 people. Out of me, how many people do we remain with? Then for the rest, if that situation happened, what would this refugee camp look like? So my recommendation would be like trying to change things and try to implement programs that will transform people. Let people forget about what they receive. Take them back and say, let's assume that there is no food distribution. What I'm giving to you now, it's something that will let you live for tomorrow without expecting anything from WFP. If these institutions supporting refugees, helping refugees can sit together and build these programs, we have cards which work in the livelihood department. And these are the programs that they can think of. Capacity buildings, trainings, train people, give them skills, then send people in the community for them to implement what they have acquired through skills. And then for the government, we can also anticipate, okay, I can anticipate this, but not anticipate because we know the CRRF was accepted in Malawi since 2018, but which doesn't work until now. We are just hearing that refugees who are trying to make a living out of the camp are forced to come back to Zarika, and this is totally wrong. So my recommendation would be to give refugees freedom, empower refugees, give them skills, and then give them freedom to express what they already gain in this community which hosts them. That can be my recommendation. Freedom is really needed. If there's a job opportunity that is posted across the country, they should follow the requirement for the position. If it's school background, they should stick on school background. If it's experience, they should stick on experience, and that will make that will change the narrative of refugees. And many would not keep on waiting for resettlement. People would feel like, no, we are at home and we are given the same considerations as any other person. I might stop from there.
Wow. Thank you so much, Julia. Thank you so much, Raphael. And thank you, Florissa and Gerard, for the contribution that you have given. I mean, we have learned a lot. We have unpacked quite a lot. And this is not just the end of the conversation. It's just the end of this Zoom, but the conversation must continue. And this is a platform that we can really share those conversations and teach one another or learn what's the best practices that we can implement to really get the best out of someone, because we have lots of gifts and talents. And as human beings, like those talents, those attributes of human being, they don't run away or vanish just because we have become refugees. They are there. Unfortunately, the limitations are quite a lot in Africa. So thank you so much, everyone, for participating. Like, yes, we could have amazing panelists, but without audience, it would be in vain. And I'm sure there are so many of other people who will be following the recorded conversation on our social media or Facebook or on Zoom. So thank you so much for being part of this conversation. I want to invite you to our last Zoom, which will be next month. We started this series of Zoom, I think it was in August, if not September. But now the last one will be talking about the Malawians who were born refugees. Very few people know that Malawi has had a history where some politicians had to run away with their families in exile. So we'll be interviewing two of children of the high-profile Malawian politicians. So please let people know about this Zoom, and let's continue this conversation. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day or evening, depending where you are. God bless you. Bye.